of top security operatives working in cahoots with criminals in our land. We have to make a solid example of someone, and I think this looks like a very good opportunity to send that clear message.
Right. Well, gentlemen, in the eyes of the law, despite the evidence that, have already somehow found its way to the, public sphere, in the eyes of the law, he has pleaded guilty, he has pleaded not guilty, and he remains innocent until proven otherwise. But with this back and forth now, the trial was on, and then he came up with this preliminary objection questioning the legality of the charges and jurisdiction of the court. And now the court says it has the exclusive jurisdiction, much against his arguments. Wale, what do you make of where we stand now?
Well, I think it was relying on the fact that the internal mechanism of the police was yet to be exhausted. The Nigeria Police Council and the Police Service Commission, ordinarily when a policeman commits an offense, these two organizations are expected to investigate the police officer and then come out with a report. But that does not in any way undermine the constitution of the country, that anybody who commits criminal offense, except those that enjoy immunity, state governors and the president of the country, if you commit any offense, whether you are even a military man, the Nigerian Constitution under Section 251 has the right to try you for criminal offense. And the police cannot be a judge in its own case. And I think from precedents, a man of his status is unlikely to have been involved in so many things without the knowledge of some other people in the same establishment. I find it very difficult to believe that he acted alone. So the NDLA, I think, is in order. If you look at some of the allegations that they found about 207 million naira in his different accounts, then 17,000 euro, and that he also failed to declare his assets. So good enough, the NDLA in the past few months, or since Marwa came into that establishment, has proved itself, has improved the image of Nigeria in terms of diligence, prosecution, in terms of just like what EFCC is doing under Bauer, and some of the other predecessors. So, irrespective of the dark cloud, there are institutions that improve the image of Nigeria. I think NDLA is one of them. So the court just said, look, we have the right to try you, irrespective of the fact that the Police Service Commission or the Nigerian Police Council are yet to come up with any report. The court cannot be waiting for the report of the police before they take you to court, because the NDLA is also expected to do its own prosecution. And based on the evidence before it, it can go to court to challenge, to prosecute, the accused. It's a very important case that Nigerians are interested, and also the international community, because of the strategic position that it was occupying. Don't forget, other countries also asked for its extradition. So the authorities should know that it's not just Nigerians that are interested in this case. A lot of countries are also interested because of the, the implication of so many cases that is involved, that has been linked up to him. So I hope they will not continue to use all these delay tactics. Let them take him to court. If he's claiming that he's not guilty, then the court will be able to decide and in time, so that they don't delay the case to the extent that people will begin to doubt the process of justice.
In all of this, BKO, when you look at the struggles and the successes in Nigeria's war against drug trafficking, especially with this twist of involvement from even within the NDLEA and all its sister agencies, where do you see, the stage that we are in tackling drug trafficking?
We have made tremendous progress in the last 2 years. We have to admit that in Nigeria today, General Marwa has shown himself to be an hero and one of the best persons in public service currently. These guys in the NDLA have made significant breakthroughs in the war against drug trafficking. We've seen them bust several drug barons, seized drugs worth in excess of, running to billions of naira. Drugs that they even attempted to bring into our country through the waterways. They seized. The last one seizure that they made somewhere in Ikorodu. They tried to bring it in through the waterways. They got information that syndicate was smashed and the drug was seized. We have made tremendous progress. And look, when we eventually defeat or bring drug trafficking under significant control, it will have a domino effect even on the crime wave in our country. Because a lot of the crimes that people commit, they commit under the influence of drugs. Boko Haram kills people, they behead people. It takes someone who is already mad to get a knife and say he's slashing someone's throat. It's drug use, drug abuse that leads people to do things like this. So if we can even block access to drugs, to these illicit drugs, those boys will find a way to come out of their forest on their own. And we are making gains. Almost 100,000 or so at the last count had been surrendered to Nigerian forces, because even access to these illicit drugs is being blocked. They are catching their couriers. These guys, in spite of the temptation to to get paid big money, they are doing their work professionally. Not that they are paid hefty or extortionate salaries, the kind of salaries that our lawmakers are paid. But these guys, they love their country, and General Marwa has found a way to motivate them to serve the country in the way they are doing.
All right, gentlemen, we'll put a hold on this leg of our discussions and move on to other matters on the program. And it's still on the fallout of the general elections. The more some Nigerians, especially politicians, condemn the Independent National Electoral Commission for its conduct of the polls, the more the electoral umpire receives commendations from different bodies. Well, the Forum of Independent Foreign and Domestic Observers has now commended INEC for its deployment of the bimodal voter accreditation system, that's the BVAS, for the elections, saying it reduced election manipulations. The coordinator of the forum, Ambassador Charity Ehire, told newsmen that the forum is satisfied with how the elections were conducted, despite some minor challenges in some polling units. Wale Adeoye, on one hand, there are still people who are, condemning the conduct of the elections, but then groups are commending INEC for its role so far.
Well, there's no way you have an election like this. It's one of the most keenly contested elections, in our history. The candidates we have been having for the past years were usually products of military governments, who are use them as cronies. But in this case, and we've always been having landslide victories by particular candidates or two major parties dominating the political space. But in this case, you have three equally strong political parties. And then if you look at the dynamics, a lot of political heavyweights lost in their stronghold, while there were new incursions into new frontiers. Look at Labour Party, for instance, in Plateau State. Look at Labour Party in Nasarawa State. Look at Atiku in Osun State. Look at APC in Sokoto State. Look at PDP in where you have Bello Matawali, Samfara. So there are new things are happening, And you see, when we are talking about elections, definitely some people are born to attack the outcome of the election because it does not favor them. You don't expect such people because they are active participants in the election. So when they lose that election, they have invested so much money, they have invested so much time, they have invested so much energy, and their expectations, for political appointments and other things have been dashed. So there are such people there who will be muddled up with people who have genuine concern for democratic transformation of the country. So we need to be able to sieve between those that are genuinely angry and who have genuine reasons, and those who are just out for blind rage. There is no way, the only way the election can be fair is if their candidate had won. So there are all sorts of people, and they are involved in all sorts of sponsoring, all sorts of propaganda, all sorts of lies. But one thing you have to admit is that there is no election all over the world that is perfect, not even in the US. But you have to look at the gains, then you look at the weaknesses, and then we come together and see where we can, make improvements. For me, this election, the Beavers was a milestone because to a very large extent, it minimized manipulation, manual rigging. It showed that if you are not a registered voter, it's very difficult for you to go and vote, unlike before that, multiple thumb printing. And when you are talking about misconducts, you have to look at the number of polling booths all over the country, about 176,000. How many of these polling booths do we have, problems? Perhaps maybe about 5 to 10%. So when you look at substantial compliance, global and international standard, I think we should move forward. But some people are saying that, look, let's cut the head of the baby, let's destroy it. I don't think that should be our attitude. Look at our neighbors, Niger Republic, Burkina Faso, Togo, Burkina Faso, Mali, Chad, where they have had elections. We have seen military intervention. That has not happened since 1999. And if we had not had military intervention in 1983, Nigeria, it would have moved forward if we had not had military intervention in 1966. So we need to learn to walk the bleeding edge with caution. So at the end of the day, we don't, self-destruct the whole democratic process. There are flaws, there are errors, yes, but in terms of are we moving forward, we will not be moving with the right pace, but I don't think we are moving backward. So I think if there are cases, look at in 2011, there were 800 deaths related to the election, 2010 election. How many people have, some people lost their lives. But when you compare with the incidents we have been having in the past, we are armed men, we go to ballot areas, snatch the ballot papers, shoot people, kill people. You see soldiers on the highways. You are traveling, ahead of the election. You spend hours. The old highways were free. People move from one place. There were no armed policemen at the polling booths. So there are shortcomings, but we have to admit that we are making progress. IT is not only issues in IT is not only related to elections alone. Right. Even when you are making transfer for your money, we saw what people are suffering. So there are issues here and there, but I think fundamentally we should not destroy the democratic process for the sake of prosperity and growth of Nigeria. All right,
and BKO, I'm sure you're mindful of the protests that also, occurring whilst, commendations are pouring in for INEC. And yes. One part is instructive in all these commendations that anyone who is aggrieved should, stop with their protests and instead channel their grievances to the appropriate quarters, that is the courts.
Yes, the politician knows that the courts are best placed to resolve any dispute arising from elections. But some of them have made up their minds to heat up the politics. They hate fellow politicians so much that they cannot live with the reality that somebody has won the election. This is the nature of the Nigerian politicians. I grew up as a little boy to find Nigerian politicians, demonstrating this conduct since 1979, when I witnessed the first general election in our country. this attitude has always been there. It was worse in 1983. The 1983 election was terribly rigged. Some of the little boys now who are saying, oh, this is the worst election. Did they see 1983 election? Did they see it? I mean, that the rig election sometimes in this country that you want to even give up on democracy. 2003, there was nothing like beavers. Obasanjo and Atiku were mindlessly rigging election. And I recall what happened, even Adamawa State, the home state of Atiku Abubakar, was lost by the PDP. And after the winner had even been congratulated, the result was changed. The result was changed. I remember clearly that Adamawa State was lost by the PDP. But at that time, it was something that was unheard of for a vice president to lose his home state. And they had to find a way to change the result. Obasanjo came up with votes to assert the Supreme Court judgment in 2006, and that matter was brought up. Can you imagine scoring vote higher than the total number of registered voters? They couldn't even rig election with some level of gumption.
Biko, we have some breaking news coming in right now. A news just in from Abia State now. We understand and have it that INEC has declared Alex Otti of the Labour Party the winner of the governorship election in Abia State. Of course, you recall that the process or the proceedings were suspended. Now that they have reconvened and collation and announcement of results, local government by local government has resumed in Abia State. Now that we hear that in Abia State now, Alex Otti has been declared winner of the governorship election in Abia. And in the meantime, the collation of results in Enugu State has also resumed. We'll bring you details of this and, of course, other developments as following the fallout of the elections after this break. Please stay with TVC News.
My name is Gifty Robremat. I am in Basic 2. I am from Oba Community Primary School 2. The people from Ubek, representative from the Abia State Government, headmistress and teachers from Oba Community Primary School 2. My fellow pupils, ladies and gentlemen, good day. We welcome you to this unique occasion. We thank our President Muhammadu Buhari for the school feeding program. Some of us do not eat while coming to school, but this school feeding has helped us a lot. May God bless our presidents and governors in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, Mr.
After a fruitful Ramadan day, replenish your body with the right nutrients. Make this your best Ramadan yet. Ramadan Kareem from Hollandia Dairy and Chivita Fruit Juice.
Grace Nation International presents 4 days of power-packed program tagged Harvest of Babies 2023. Date Wednesday 29th of March to Sunday 2nd of April 2023. Wednesday 29th of March, time 5 p.m. Thursday 30th of March, time 7 a.m. Friday 31st March, International Night of Prophecy and Solution, time 8 p.m. till dawn. Sunday 2nd of April, Anointing and Celebration Service, Time 7 a.m. Venue Grace Nation International Headquarters, Ojodu Bega, Lagos, Nigeria. Ministering Dr. Chris Okafor. Come and experience power and mighty move of God. For inquiries, please call +234 80 327 29060. Jesus is Lord.
Thanks a lot for staying with Journalist Hangout on TVC News. And earlier on, we told you that Alex Otti of the Labour Party has been declared winner of the Abia State Governorship election. Of course, in Enugu State, the collation was suspended and now reconvened at about 5 p.m. today. Let's connect with TVC News correspondent Abba Kyari, who is standing by for us at the collation center in Enugu State. What's the latest now, Abba?
Well, Ken, it's past 5 as I speak to you, and INEC said the suspension of collation will resume as at 5 p.m. I can confirm that there is tight security within the state collating center, and we await the arrival of the returning officer and also the rep. These are the persons everyone is waiting for as far as collation is concerned. So back here in Enugu, we are hoping that any moment from now, when they arrive, we will indeed start proceeding as far as collation is concerned at the collating center. But outside the venue, different political parties are protesting.
Right, and tell us more about those protests, especially seeing as INEC has already announced from its headquarters in Abuja that it had concluded a review of the process so far, which prompted the suspension. Help us to, understand INEC's position as against what you're seeing on ground in terms of conduct of political parties to the process.
Well, Kevin, allegations of overvoting in one of the local governments in Kano, which was brought up, and the returning officer appealed, to the political party agents who brought up this issue that let collation be completed, but this issue will be looked into. After it was completed, after all 17 local governments in the state were completed, the returning officer, at the end of the day, suspended collation. But then, different political party supporters have made different demands while they are protesting. When I visited the People's Democratic Party supporters where they are protesting, they were of the opinion that since the 17 local governments have been collated, then the returning officer should just use his power to indeed declare who is the winner. While the Labour Party protesters in Enugu are saying that they are comfortable with the process. The returning officer is going about this issue, and they say they trust the process and will wait till the end. So it's been different demands from those who are protesting outside the venue. But like I said earlier, we await the arrival of the returning officer to see what he will be saying at the end of the day.
All right, Abba Kyari, that'll be all for now. I will get back to you for more updates, especially when the collation resumes proper. Well, back to the studio. Let me quickly get your quick reactions, BKO and Wale, to the happenings in Abia State, especially now that Alex Otti of the Labour Party has been declared winner.
Well, he is trailed by the PDP candidate. The election clearly shows that the elections are usually local, whereas during the presidential election, a lot of people voted for the Labour Party. But we are not seeing that kind of overwhelming victory, in all the southeast, or the 5 southeast states. So, but it also shows that people consider individuals, when it comes to local election. Labour Party winning Abia State may not be able to win the other 4 states. And I think there's also something significant that I'm seeing. The Young Progressive Party, at least won in one local government in Abia State. And I've also seen in other parts of the country where that party is also making a lot of impact. So I think that is significant, in many ways. And I also think that the Labour Party winning a state is a victory for democracy. It shows that all the efforts of the obedience, the supporters of Peter Obi, all the energy invested into this election is actually not in vain. And it shows that the party has a future if the leaders do not relax. Because what usually happens is that after, people will just go to sleep until the next 4 years. Elections. But if they can build on that party and then be patient, and then I think the party can still be a major player in future election in this country.
Because there were about 4 front runners in the race in Abia State: Ekiti Emenike of the APC, Gregory Ibe of Abga, PDP's Oke Ahiwe, and of course Alex Otti. Did you see this coming when you also look away to the fact that the state has always been called a PDP state somehow?
Yeah, though it's a victory. I saw it coming, and Labour Party is quite strong in Abia State. And Alex Otti is the most recognizable of all the candidates in that race because he had contested a number of times. So in many states of the Southeast, some of the candidates of the Labour Party were not significant people, were not popular. So people didn't think that they should vote for them. But in this case, they fielded in Abia State I would say, a recognizable character, someone with pedigree, who had contested a number of times, had always lost narrowly. He would do well, but somehow he would lose. So in this case, he finally found a party that could lead him to victory, and I'm not surprised at all. I actually saw it coming, and I correctly predicted that he would win the election.
All right, and if we can move on, of course, more reactions will still come in following this latest win, and it also reduces the number of states where elections are yet to be concluded. Hopefully, in due course, we will have another chance to talk about them. But if we look at the last Saturday's elections, one of the states on our radar is Kano. For example, and we saw how it panned out even before the elections. I know BKO spoke extensively on how fierce the competition will be in Kano, and with the emergence of the NNPP's candidate now. How do you look at this? You've spoken about the beauty of democracy, how governance should be like, but in Kano, what stands out for you in Kano State?
Well, I think it was a very tough battle, though the Kwankwaso party won landslide during the presidential election. But we didn't see that repeated during the governorship election. Nevertheless, the party still won. I think it's a confirmation of the domineering influence of Kwankwaso in Kano politics. And one should not be surprised. He has been in this game for a very long time. In 1999 to 2023, he was also defense minister under President Obasanjo. And I think he's a politician that did not go to sleep even after he was not holding any political position. Even the present governor, Ganduje, was his deputy at the time. So I think the people see him as a formidable force. And I also want to add that Kwankwaso has a bright future. I think it's just about 62 now or so. Because President Buhari is likely to retire from contesting election, and probably Atiku too, given the factor of age. So if you are talking of one of the people that we should look up to, in that part of the country, I think it's Kwankwaso. If he can, though it's limited to Kano State, and I think that has always been his shortcoming. But if he can form alliances, build network, I think his future is bright. But there's no doubt that Kwankwaso remains a formidable political institution as far as Kano politics is concerned.
And Vikio, we've seen Labour Party and the NNPP now having a stake each in the fallout of the governorship election. In Kano, the NNPP's Abba Kabir Yusuf, like I said earlier on, you were weighing their chances, seeing as he and Gawuna of the APC were from, the same area, as against what we saw playing out during the presidential elections in the same state. But what do you make of the emergence of the NNPP's candidate as winner?
Is the value of patience that we've seen demonstrated in this election. In 2019, Abba Kabir Yusuf was coasting home to victory, and then INEC decided that it had to be decided through a supplementary election. And in that supplementary election, he was overtaken by the candidate of the APC, that's the Governor Ganduje. Instead of resorting to violence, killing people, Kwankwaso simply calmed down, told the supporters to not take the law into their hands. Said 4 years is not a long time. You, Abba Kabir Yusuf, you are young, you still have another chance. Many women, because Abba Kabir Yusuf is a ladies' man, the women love him so much, and they were crying. But why did this happen? Because he also had a very popular TV jingle at that time that children and women were singing, Abba, Gida, Gida, Abba, They expected him to win, but he didn't win. At that time, the support of Kwankwaso was very evident in the urban centers. So Governor Ganduje dominated the election in the hinterland. In fact, Governor Ganduje defeated Kwankwaso in his local government, Albasu, Madobi local government, to tell you that the governor had tremendous support in the hinterland. But this time around, both the hinterland and the urban centers, Kwankwaso appear to have penetrated. Because for someone like the Senate chairman on INEC, Kabru Gaya, former Governor Kabru Gaya, to have been defeated by an NNPP candidate in Gaya. Gaya is not an urban center. You know that they had indeed penetrated that area, and so many other rural areas they also won. Look at, they won 29 of the House of Assembly seats, 29 out of 40 they won. Talking about House of Reps, out of 23 they won 18. That is to tell you the preeminence, the popularity of the NNPP in that state. So, and in the election proper, he scored 1,019,602. Right. Gawuna scored 890,000. Both of them were from the city, the city center, not like before when someone was from the cities and the other person was from the hinterland, because the governor was from rural Kano, whereas Abba Kabir Yusuf hailed from the city. At that time, this time around, they are both city men contesting against one another. Even in Nasarawa, where Gawuna comes from, NNPP won with about 15,000 margin. that's in Nasarawa. Nothing underlines the popularity of that fellow more than to see him go to defeat his immediate rival right in his local government. And there are other things that we can say about the popularity of NNPP. My suspicion is that this man wants to play on the big stage. And he knows that to play on the big stage, he has to belong to a big political party, not a party that cannot win elections outside of his state. So I won't be surprised if he's back in the APC, because Abba Kyari Yusuf was his personal assistant, his in-law. So he will most likely sanction maybe his defection to the APC and all that. And I can tell you, the APC will not reject the governor of Nigeria's most politically valuable state, like Kano, if he were to make moves to join them, because I still see Kwankwaso playing a big part in the politics of our country. He will undoubtedly become the most popular, the most dominant politician from northern Nigeria at the rate he's going. Because even his candidate came second in Taraba, governorship rates. His candidate came second. So I know that his profile will keep rising, but he has to play his politics right.
Right. We will take a break in about 40 seconds from now. But just quickly respond to that possibility of Abba Yusuf going to the APC amidst his victory under the ticket of the NNPP.
Yes, it will be easier for him to join the big players than to invest in NNPC with the hope of spreading the party across the country. And I think at 66, the ball is in his court. There's a lot of advantages on his side. He's charismatic, he's popular, and I think in terms of a dominant figure after President Buhari, Atiku, who are most likely to retire, the ball is coming back to him. It now depends on how you can manage it in the terms of, the Nigerian national contest.
He has that cult-like following.
He has a lot of advantage.
Cult-like following, similar to Buhari's cult-like following. And let me add quickly that 8 of the people who got elected into the House of Assembly were students that he sponsored abroad to Ukraine, to Russia, those countries to learn aeronautic engineering and other things. That's what makes him popular with the young people.
All right. We'll talk some more about the fallout of the governorship elections right after this break. You're watching Journalist Hangout on TVC News. Stay with us.
After a fruitful Ramadan day, replenish your body with the right nutrients. Make this your best Ramadan yet. Ramadan Kareem from Hollandia Dairy and Chivita Fruit Juice.
When I was younger, I got a
Thanks for staying with us. An interesting scenario or fallout also played out in Kaduna State as we continue to look at the state-by-state performance at the governorship elections of March the 18th. Well, BKO, still we were talking about the presidential election outcome, and in Kaduna State we saw how the numbers went down. It was a fierce battle indeed at the second cycle of the elections. Uba Sani of the APC, Jonathan Asaki of the LP, and particularly the PDP's Issa Ashiru. And of course, it's now one more state in the kitty of the APC.
Actually, to look at the presidential election, you would want to believe that PDP would take Kaduna easily, because PDP dominated the National Assembly election, won all the 3 senatorial seats, dominated the House of Reps seats, Reps election, and also won with a hefty margin. You know, it's one of the states where Atiku actually could say defeated Asiwaju with a very good margin. You know, that place, I think, and even Bauchi and Gombe. This time around, you know, as I always say, all politics is local. The governor and his people got down to brass tacks, and they were able to match the PDP in most of the local governments. I can reel out just how close the battle is in many local governments. In Giwa local government, APC scored 30,773 to PDP's 28,869. In Sanga, PDP scored 13,119 to APC's 12,338. In Makarfi, PDP scored 26,128 to 25,673. In Kagarko, PDP scored 19,991 to APC's 18,830. In Ikara, APC scored 29,066. PDP scored 28,612. In Kauru, PDP scored 26,346. APC scored 25,915. Then in Zaria, let me look at three local government where the margin was quite wide between both men. In Zaria local government, APC scored 78,659. PDP scored 47,091.
That's high.
Yeah, in Igabi, APC scored 74,994 to PDP's 40,681. And the biggest of them all, Chikun local government, PDP scored 89,946 to APC's 19,979. With the Chikun victory, PDP members are already jubilating.
But do you have a reason for this Chikun margin? This is quite substantial. Do you have any rationale for this?
The election in Kaduna is the voter behavior is driven by ethnicity and religion. So where you have a preponderance of Christians, for example, they are not likely to vote for the candidate of the PDP because of the Muslim ticket. They are not likely to vote for it. So you look at the people living in a particular area in a local government, you can almost guess how you can guess the pattern of voting in that area. And a Chikun local government, a good portion of it is actually even in Kaduna metropolis. So some of them are not even, they are not from Kaduna state. Some of them are just stranger elements and all that. So in the end, the margin was just about 10,000, the margin of victory, which is consistent with the way the election went local government by local government. Even in Briningwari, the bandit infested Briningwari, it was quite close between both men. You would think that McCarthy, home of the former governor of the state, who has remained in PDP from inception, that it would be a bit wide for the PDP. But it was also narrow. So it was a nail-biting contest in Kaduna, and APC did very well to have come back from the jaws of defeat.
Wale, we've run out of time, but I wanted to just, look at the happenings in Benue State. When you listen to Bigio's analysis of Kano, what do you think played out in Benue State in Hyacinth Alia's favor? Yeah,
let me quickly add that Ubasani, a lot of people didn't know that he was in the pro-democracy movement. He was in Jakon. I was also in Jakon with Gani Fahimi. And he set up movement for freedom and justice, giving free legal services to people in the 1990s. So he set up Uba Foundation in 2018. So he has come a long way. The same thing played out in Benue, where the winner of that election, has been known to the ordinary man as a friend of the masses. if you have been following him, he's saturated with a lot of humanitarian services. To the extent that even people in the same monastery with him were envious. He will gather people every Saturday, people that are afflicted with a lot of diseases, pray for them, give them material needs, heal some of them spiritually. To the extent even as of the time that they have to complain against him, they reported him to the Vatican. And the Vatican had to do an investigation and say, look, what this man is doing is God-given. They should allow him to play his, in the Catholic, a lot of people think he should not go into politics. So this man has dedicated his life for over more than 20 years to assisting people, helping them. And I think that singular factor made him to be able to win that election for the APC. If you look at what has been happening in the past 4 years, a lot of people, we didn't expect them, Benue to go the way of APC. But because of that singular tradition of this man, combined with other people like Akume and all that, I think he was able to. And also for the fact that APC adopted direct primary instead of indirect primary. So the masses were able to line up and then choose their. So we want to see how they are going to transform their background into, humanitarian services as state governors.
Gentlemen, Wale Adoye and Babajide Kolade Otitoju, I want to say a big thank you to you both on how we were able to, go about this show. Many thanks again for your insights. And thank you very much for watching the program today. That's our 7 for you on Journalist Hangout this midweek edition. But you can also watch the Thursday edition, which shows at the same time, and watch a repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. Plus, join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. Don't forget, we're on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. From all of us here, many thanks for watching. I am Kemi Foladeyemo. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.